What's up, everybody? Thursday night, break number 846 BD. This is a half case, 6-box break. Panini Prizm baseball hobby. There's our 6 boxes. Let's get started. Box number 1. So the first 6 boxes of this did not have a color blast, did not have a case hit. So hopefully this half we got a nice little color blast and a snake skin. Here we go. No groovy, no color blast, no snake skin on the last. Alright, box number 1, here we go. Green scope. That is James Triantos. James Triantos for the Cubs. That is 19 out of 75. Albert Pujols on the silver prism. Jesus Made on the talisman. Blue. That is Johnny Bench. That is 184 out of 199 for the Reds. Gerangelo Cinche on the red wave for Seattle. James Wood on the red firework to 199. James Wood to 199, 172 out of 199. Pulsar Shinosuke Ogasawara for the Washington Nationals. That is 320 out of 499. Bud Selig on the silver prism. Travis Bazzana on the prismatic. Bobby Miller on the red. Our first auto right here is a red auto. Bobby Miller on the red. That is 105 of 299. Our first auto goes to the Kansas City Royals, and that's a nice one. Carson Roccaforte. Carson Roccaforte. That is numbered 60. Sorry, I was looking at it wrong. 62 out of 99. Looking at it upside down. 62 of 99. Christian Moore on the fireworks. That's Andrew Walters on the Pulsar. 69 of 499. Carter Holton on the silver prism. Dingers of Rintaro Sasaki for the non-MLB NIL spot. Red, That's a red checkerboard of Ricky Henderson going to Oakland. That is 98 of 99. Ricky Tiedemann on the red wave for Toronto. Colston Montgomery, Talisman. Pulsar, John Smoltz for Atlanta. That is 17 of 499. Dylan Head on the Silver Prizm. Talisman of Dylan Cruz. Next auto. That also goes to Kansas City. That is a Pulsar auto to 199 of Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. for the Kansas City Royals. 174 out of 199. Kansas City is munching right now. Kansas City is munching. Soul, is that you, my friend? Cam Caminiti for Atlanta. That is 81 of 299. Greg Maddux on the red wave. That's Christian Moore on the prismatic. Oh, really? You just got here? Wow. Dude, see, you should be here from the start, and then you'll see. Oh, it was only a Carson Rocaforte auto to 99. Carson Rocaforte auto. You got both my autos so far out of this first box. There's Barry Larkin. 45 of 499. Daston Hill for Minnesota. Silver Prizm. Dingers, Jace Lavalette for the non-MLB spot. Oh, Color Blast. I hope we get a Color Blast. We didn't have one in the first 6 boxes that we did on Tuesday. So I'm hoping that there's a Color Blast in this case. So we got 5 more boxes to find out. We got 5 more boxes to find out. That would be cool, man. That would be cool. Here we go. The rest of box number 1. Noble Mayer, purple. Noble Mayer, purple. That is 112 of 149. And how about for the Angels? Nolan Chanuel. Nolan Chanuel, not numbered on the auto. Aiden Miller on the prismatic. Gil Hodges, red. 82 of 299. That's going to Brooklyn for the LA Dodgers. Texas Rangers, Michael Cole on the Silver Prizm. Tommy White on the fireworks. We got black. We got a black. Nice. Dingers of Vlad Guerrero. Bryce Eldridge on the Pulsar. And that is black gold. So that should be to 5. Black gold to 5 of Yogi Berra for the Yankees. 4 out of 5 black gold. That's a nice hit. Bryce Eldridge, that was 395 out of 499. Nice, buddy, nice. Box number 1. That was box number 1. Box number 2. All right, box number 2. Here we go. Red, Brady Ebel going to the non-MLB NIL spot. 270 out of 299. Sebastian Walcott on the Silver Prism. Spencer Jones on the Talisman. That is Cal Ripken Jr. on the Pulsar. 319 out of 499, and the auto behind it was also for Baltimore, Ethan Anderson. Ethan Anderson on the auto for Baltimore. That is not numbered. Blue, Ian Kinsler for Texas. That is 28 out of 199. Ian Kinsler on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Albert Pujols. Pulsar, Christian Campbell. Pulsar, Christian Campbell. That is for the Red Sox. That is 81 of 499. Our first Cherry Blossom is going to the White Sox. That's Hagen Smith on the Cherry Blossom. 9 out of 20. Hagen Smith on the Prismatic. Red, Rod Carew for the Minnesota Twinkies. That is 181 out of 299. Tim Hudson on the Silver Prism for Oakland. Spencer Jones on the Firework. On the Pulsar, we got Malcolm Moore for Texas. That is 108 out of 499. Bobby Miller on the Red Wave for the Dodgers. That is a Prismatic Kumar Rocker Red to 199. That is numbered 95 out of 199. 95 of 199. Checkerboard of Tommy White for the Oakland A's. 60 out of 99. Edwin Encarnacion on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Jackson Churio. We got a blue Brock Porter. Blue Brock Porter for Texas. Hagen Smith Talisman. Our next auto is red. and it's going to the New York Yankees. Thatcher Hurd. Thatcher Hurd for the New York Yankees. That is, I'm sorry, 59 of 99. 59 of 99. Alright, sorry. Wanted to verify the auto. Check on the checklist. I was right. It is the Yankees. I thought I was. Just, he's the one person that confuses me every time. He looks like a Met and he dresses like a Yankee. Anyways, let's go on. Here we go. Pulsar, Frank Thomas. That is Frank Thomas with the Oakland A's. 212 of 499. Mac Horvath on the Silver Prism. Roman Anthony on the Prismatic. Purple, Monty Irvin. Monty Irvin, that is going to the New York Giants. 87 out of 149, so that's the San Francisco Giants. Ozzie Smith, Red Wave. Travis Bazzana on the Fireworks. Our next auto, maybe? Nope. Slade Caldwell, that is red Slade Caldwell, 11 out of 299. Leo DeVries on the Silver Prism. Ken Griffey Jr. on the Dingers. So our last auto should be in this little stack right here. There it is. We're going to start with Brooks Lee on the Pulsar for the Twins. That is 343 out of 499. Darren Baker for Washington. Red Wave. Christian Moore on the Talisman. And our last auto goes to... that is the Chicago White Sox, Hagen Smith. Hagen Smith for the Chicago White Sox. This is a Prism Auto not numbered. Prism Auto not numbered. Box number 3. Oh, this should be the box. This should be the box that has either a color blast or a checkerboard. Not in that stack. That's usually where we find them, is in this with the box that has the backwards cards like that. Well, we got a redemption right there. I don't see a checkerboard or a snakeskin or a color blast yet. There's your color blast right there. Color blast there. And your snakeskin. Your snakeskin and your color blast. That's got your snakeskin. That's got your color blast, guys. There we go. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to everybody. Feel like I hit my camera. All right, good luck. Here we go. Box number 3. Jesus Made on the red. That is 194 out of 299. Grover Alexander Silver Prism. Talisman of Jace Young. Pulsar Colin Hawk. That's for the Mets. Let's see some Giants. All right, 139 out of 499. Prismatic Kyle Teal. Checkerboard, that's Pudge Rodriguez. 98 of 99. Jack Leiter on the Silver Prism. Fireworks of Carson Bench for the Mets. Redemption. Sensational Signatures Prism Pulsar. Prism Pulsar, that's to 199. Card number 37. That is Jake Bloss. Jake Bloss. I believe that's Kansas City. I'm not, maybe Houston, I'm not sure. Let me double check. Toronto, I was way off. That is the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto. That's why I have checklists, because I can never remember everybody. As much as I try to. Here we go. We got blue, Ian Kinsler, 44 of 199. Alex Gordon for Kansas City on the red wave. Manny Ramirez, Boston Dingers. There's Bobby Witt Jr. for Kansas City on the Pulsar, 241 out of 499. Bobby Miller for the Dodgers. Talisman of Nick Kurtz. Our next auto, that goes to Tampa Bay. That's Theo Gillen. Theo Gillen on the Pulsar auto to 199. That is 107 out of 199 for Tampa Bay. Yankees, Elston Howard on the red, 116 out of 299. Nick Kurtz on the red wave for the A's. Our snake skin is at the bottom down there. All right, here we go. We have Tommy White. Tommy White on the Pulsar. That is 269 out of 499. Thomas White for Miami. Bobby Witt Jr. on the Silver Prism. Cam Caminiti on the Firework. Josh Gibson, that's going to the Homestead non-MLB spot. That is the non-MLB, 498 out of 499. Vordy Brecht on the Silver Prism. Christian Campbell. All right, here we go. Cam Smith on the Fireworks. We have a red Leo DeVries. Red Leo DeVries, 30 out of 299. And our checkerboard, our snakeskin, goes to the Miami Marlins. That is Carter Johnson. Carter Johnson for the Miami Marlins on the snakeskin. Let's see if we can get a bigger and better color blast. Our last color blast we got was Aaron Judge. So let's see what we can get this time. Jordan Lawler for Arizona. That is 107 out of 299. And our next auto is Jet Williams for the Mets. Jet Williams for the Mets. That one is 45 out of 199 on the Pulsar auto. Nice hit. Talisman of Jacob Wilson. We got a blue Luis Angel Acuna for the Mets on the color match. That is 166 of 199. Barry Larkin Silver Prism. Dinger of Vance Honeycutt. Our color blast. Here we go. Let's do this. Here we go. Good luck, everybody. Pulsar, Jack Morris. That is 318 out of 499. Don Mattingly on the Red Wave. Our color blast goes that way. That is going to the non-MLB NIL spot for Rintaro Sasaki from Stanford. Rintaro Sasaki, that is a humongous color blast right there. That is huge. This kid is supposed to be incredible. Nice color blast, and that goes to Soul Lim over on eBay. He said he had the NIL spot. You did. You hit it. You said you had a 30% chance. I don't know how you got the 30% chance, but you got a 100% chance now because you just hit Rintaro Sasaki. Congratulations, bud. Box number 4. Soul, if you're still here, if you want that in a one-touch, just let me know. If you are still here and want that in a one-touch, I can do that for you. I can mag it up for you. All right, box number 4. Green scope. We're starting with Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench on the green scope. That is 4 out of 75. Craig Yoho on the silver prism. Bubba Chandler on the fireworks. Red, Robin Yount for Milwaukee. Our first auto out of this box goes to the Giants and Chef Rob. Chef Rob said, let me see some Giants. There you go, baby. Josar Gonzalez on the auto. It is not numbered, but this kid is a big prospect for them. Big, big, big time. Congrats, my friend. Congrats. Nice, my friend. There you go, Bubba. There's Billy Amick for the Minnesota Twins, 297 out of 499. Marcelo Mayer on the silver prism. That's a prismatic of Jacob Wilson. Orange. That's Bud Selig. Also going to the non-MLB and NIL spot. That is 34 out of 49 on the Bud Selig. And right behind it is a nice Carter Jensen Mojo to 25. Carter Jensen, 22 of 25 for Kansas City. Slade Caldwell on the fireworks. Blue, that's Homestead. Again, another one for the non-MLB spot. That is 10 out of 199. Owen Cassie, silver prism. Braden Montgomery on the dingers. Been a solid second half of this case. Bryce Matthews, that's for Houston. Pulsar, 229 out of 499. Trey Morgan on the red wave. We got a red firework of Cam Smith. Red firework of Cam Smith, that's to 199. 151 out of 199. Purple, Kendall George for the Dodgers, 81 out of 149. Aiden Miller on the silver prism for Philadelphia. Marcelo Mayer, talisman for the Red Sox. Levi Sterling red. James Triantos, fireworks. That is red, 264 out of 299 for Pittsburgh. Our next auto is a Pulsar, and that one is going to Cincinnati, Hunter Holland. Hunter Holland to 199. That is numbered 20 out of 199. 20 of 199. Gerangelo Ciniste for Seattle, 268 out of 499. Pedro Martinez, silver. Kellen Lindsay, firework. One stack to go. We should have one more auto. Jake Arrieta on the checkerboard. Jake Arrieta, 75 of 99. Kendall George, red wave for the Dodgers. Cam Smith on the dingers for Houston. That's blue. That's Rhino. Rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg. What a great player he was. 183 out of 199. Bryce Cunningham on the silver prism. Talisman of Dylan Cruz. Our last auto is right there. It's a Pulsar. It's a Prizm auto. Malcolm Moore. Malcolm Moore. That is a Pulsar 224 of 499. James Triantos on the red wave. Prismatic of Christian Moore. And our last auto of this box. Last auto of the box. Is this a legendary signature? It is. That is a legendary signature of Michael Jack Schmidt. Michael Jack Schmidt. Philadelphia Phillies. Nice hit for the Phillies. Nice hit for the Fightin' Phils. That is not numbered, but that is nice. And if his middle name's not Jack, then I heard it wrong somewhere. Somebody wants to verify that his middle name was Jack. I could have sworn I read somewhere it was Michael Jack Smith, or Schmidt, but I could be wrong, guys. I make shit up all the time. So, all right, box number 5. Box number 5. Clean up some of that dust. All right, this is box number 5. Box number 5. Good luck. Got some orange coming to 49. Orange coming to 49. We got Johnny Farmello. That is for Seattle. 158 out of 499. Roger the Rocket Clemens for Toronto on the silver prism. Chase Burns on the firework. That is your number 1 pick in the draft. Travis Bazzana on the orange wave. 16 out of 49. 16 out of 49. And yes, there is an auto behind him. And it's going to the Yankees. That is Ben Hess for the Yankees on the sensational signatures. Dingers of Marcelo Mayer. Red, Zach Veen for Colorado. That is 277 out of 299. Mel Ott on the Silver Prism for the New York Giants. That would make it the San Francisco Giants. Ethan Salas, Talisman. Nelson Cruz, 465 out of 499. Bubba Chandler, Red Wave for Pittsburgh. Cam Caminetti for Atlanta. We got blue, David Shields on the color match for Kansas City. That is 130 out of 199. Kyle DeBarge for the Minnesota Twins on the Silver Prism. Jacob Wilson on the Talisman. Pulsar, Barry Larkin for Cincinnati. That is 346 out of 499. Josue De Paula for the Dodgers on the Red Wave. That's a red talisman for the Cleveland Guardians, Travis Bazana. Very nice red talisman to 199. 23 out of 199. Can't remember if they called him up during the season at all towards the end of the season. I do not remember. I know Cleveland made that great run into the playoffs. They were doing so crappy all year long. So, alright, here we go. That's Barry Larkin for Cincinnati on the purple. That's 142 out of 149. Andrew Jones, Atlanta Silver Prism. Christian Campbell on the Prismatic. Josue De Paula on the red to 299. This is a Mojo Auto coming. Mojo Auto, 41 out of 299. Mojo Auto of Zebby Matthews. That is for the Minnesota Twins. Minnesota Twins, Zebby Matthews, 25 out of 25. 25 out of 25 for the Twinkies. Fireworks of Cam Smith for Houston. Pulsar of Dalton Rushing for the Dodgers. That is 125 out of 499. Cash Mayfield on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Vance Honeycutt. We got an orange upcoming. Orange. Checkerboard of Terry Francona for the Red Sox. That is 36 of 99. We got an orange Jonah Tong. Orange Jonah Tong. Orange Wave 9 of 49 for the New York Mets. Chase Young on the Talisman. We got a blue Chase Burns. Cincinnati Reds, 64 out of 199. 64 of 199. Eddie Collins on the Silver Prism for the White Sox. That's Kyle Teal for the White Sox. Sometimes these penny sleeves just want to not work. That is a Sasaki Color Blast for you, Soul. Congratulations on that, my friend. That is going to you. Did you want that in a mag, one touch? If you do, I can do that for you. Miami Marlins to $4.99, $3.69 of $4.99. Tony Olivia on the Red Wave. Carson Benj on the Firework. And our last auto of the break of this box, box 5. That one goes to Tampa Bay Rays. That is Braden Taylor. Braden Taylor, the Tampa Bay Rays. Not numbered. Just let me know if you want that in a one-touch, Soul. One box to go. Good luck on the last box, guys. Good luck. Last box, a little more magic. Let's go. All right, here we go. Bud Selig for the non-MLB spot. That is number 248 out of 299. Ethan Holiday for the non-MLB spot on the Red Wave. Cam Smith on the Prismatic. Purple, Bob Gibson, St. Louis, 145 out of 149. Jarlin Susanna for Washington, silver. Roman Anthony on the Talisman. We will get a full recap after this box. That is Caleb Lomavita for Washington. Caleb Lomavita, 223 out of 499. Our first auto is a Mojo auto going to Pittsburgh. That is Hunter Furtado. Hunter Furtado. That is number 20 out of 25 for Pittsburgh. 20 out of 25. We got a Dingers of Jim Thome. Blue on the color match, Owen Cassie. Owen Cassie. 32 out of 199 for the Cubs. J.C. Escara for the Yankees. Chase Dolander on the Firework. Oh. Whoa, is that Gold Mojo? Gold Mojo Dinger, that's a Dinger's Mojo. Dinger's Mojo coming. Colin Hawk for the Mets. 30 out of 499. Jackson Churio. On the Dingers. Mojo to 25. That is Reginald Jackson. Reggie Jackson for the Yankees on the dingers. 19 out of 25. Nice hit for the Yankees to 25. That is Colson Montgomery. That is to 299. 3 out of 299 for the White Sox. John Schmaltz for Atlanta, silver. Connor Griffin. We got 6 packs and 2 autos to go. 6 packs and 2 autos to go. Good luck. No auto here. We got purple, Jerry Thomas on the color match for Colorado. 30 of 149. Hurston Waldrop on the red wave. Travis Bazzana on the talisman. Five packs to go. Pudge Rodriguez for Texas, 309 of 499. Caleb Loma Vita on the silver for Washington. Dingers of James Tibbs for the Giants. Four packs. Alright, here we go. No auto in this one. Oh yeah, there is. It's right there behind Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver, that is 120 out of 299. Paul Skeens on the fireworks. 3 packs to go. Tom Seaver is protecting our second auto of this box. Yoon Suk Shang for the Dodgers. Hyun Suk Shang, 61 of 149. Walker Janik for the Houston Astros. Dion for the Yankees. Two packs. There is an auto in here, and that looks like a really cool auto. It looks like a horizontal auto. Alright, Hagen Smith. Hagen Smith to 199. 499, excuse me. 446 out of 199. 499. I can speak, I swear, guys. Thomas White on the red wave. Bubba Chandler on the talisman. And our last pack. Then we'll do our last 2 autos. Last pack and then our last 2 autos. Here we go. Ken Griffey Jr., that's blue, 158 out of 199. Whitey Ford, silver for the Yankees. Hai Song Kim for the Dodgers. And that is that. We got 2 autos to go. And then this will be done. Then we'll do our recap. 2 autos. Here's our first auto. It's a rookie auto. Red hat. That is Ryan Johnson for the Los Angeles Angels. The LA Angels, Ryan Johnson on the sensational signature, not numbered. Let me put away Tom Seaver here. And then our last auto. It's a horizontal auto. I've never seen a horizontal auto in this. It is a legendary auto, guys. Legendary. Oh. And it's going to the Braves. Going to the Atlanta Braves. That is a double auto for the Braves. That is Greg Maddux and Chipper Jones on the double auto legendary for the Braves. Yes. And that is 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Only 10 of those made, guys. That is kind of sick right there. Kind of sick. All right. Recap time. Very solid break. Here's our recap. I will not read the names on these. I will just go through them until we get to 99. All right, these are all to $4.99. To $2.99. To $1.99 blue. Talisman of Travis Bazzana. Cam Smith Fireworks. Kumar Rocker Prismatic. And James Wood on the Fireworks. To $1.49. Alrighty. For the Dodgers, Hyun Suk Jang. Alright, to $99. Red. Checkerboard. Terry Francona, Jake Arrieta, Ivan Rodriguez, Tommy White, and Ricky Henderson. Green Scope to $75. Johnny Bench, James Triantos. Orange Wave to $49. Jonathan, Travis Bazzana, and Bud Selig. To $25. The Dingers of Reggie Jackson, and there's Carter Jensen. Cherry Blossom, Hagen Smith. We had a black gold to 5 of Yogi Berra. Our autos, not numbered. Ryan Johnson for the Angels. Braden Taylor, Tampa Bay. New York Yankees, Ben Hess. San Francisco Giants, Yusar Gonzalez. The White Sox, Hagen Smith. The Orioles, Ethan Anderson. For the Angels, Nolan Chanuel. And for the Phillies, Michael Schmidt. To $1.99, we got Hunter Holland for Cincinnati. For the Mets, Jet Williams. Tampa Bay, Theo Gillum. For Kansas City, that is a sick auto of Bobby Witt Jr. And on the redemption, Jake Bloss for the Toronto Blue Jays. Red to $99, we have Thatcher Hurd for the Yankees. Carson Rocaforte for Kansas City to $25. Hunter Furtado, that is for Pittsburgh. And Zebby Matthews, that is for the Twins. Our snakeskin was Carter Johnson for the Miami Marlins. We had a legendary dual auto for the Atlanta Braves of Chipper Jones and Greg Maddux, number 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, sick hit. And our case hit, Color Blast, Stanford's own Rentaro Sasaki going to the NIL spot. There is your break, my friends. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope to see y'all next time. Have a great afternoon. Peace.